Every parent wants to make sure that their child's safe.
As a society, we're still quite embarrassed to talk about sex openly. What I want for my children is for them to develop the ability to have a safe relationship. That will inevitably mean a sexual relationship, and so if I can't be open and talk to them about that, then they won't know how to be open in a sexual relationship and have those healthy discussions between partners.
With changes in the way that we conduct sex and relationships, especially with kind of the advancement of the internet, social media and sexting, parents could be scared of new platforms of engaging in relationships which perhaps they aren't used to.
My biggest piece of advice for parents is to keep calm, because imagine how your child is feeling. They'll probably be a lot more uncomfortable than you are.
Well, first of all, if you've found out that your child's carrying condoms, well done. You've raised a child that knows that it's a good thing to carry condoms.
If you start young, using language that's appropriate to their age, and then just keep those lines of communications open, actually the child will come to you quite often. They'll be asking you the questions and it's more you responding.
We can talk from very early on about what makes a good friend, what makes somebody feel safe, what makes somebody not feel safe. So when we're talking about sex and relationships for 3 and 4 year olds, we're not talking about what happens biologically. We're talking about how do we feel safe with other people. If you've had those conversations from early on, then it will be a natural development as young people talk and ask you questions, hear things in the playground. They'll come back and say, "Mom, I just heard this word," or what did they mean when they said this?
Statistically, children are much more at risk from people that they know than strangers. So when we're out and about, I ask them if they got lost now and they couldn't find mummy, who would be a safe person to go to tell them that they were lost. So for example, if we were in town, it would be somebody that works behind a checkout in a shop that's wearing a uniform.
Make sure that our children know the proper names for their body parts. We need young people to know that female body parts are called vaginas and male body parts are called penises, because otherwise we're opening them up to the ambiguity. If a young person says, "Oh, I saw so-and-so's lollipop," that might not mean anything to us. If they were able to say, "I saw so-and-so's penis," then we would be able to react in the right way.
Nobody's taught us how to do this. If you start little and have little conversations when your children are small, then it just becomes something you talk about.
If you can talk about sex with your children, you can talk about anything with your children.
Parents just need to think about what they did when they first went into a sexual relationship. They need to think about how they felt and how they thought their parents would feel. The main thing is just to go back to the reasons why, make sure they're happy, make sure they're not being, forced into anything.
It's about making sure that when things do go wrong, because we all make mistakes, that they've got somewhere safe to go where they're not going to be judged or told off. You're going to put your arm around them and look after them. And I think that's the way it should be.
Don't start with, "I know you've been to that party and you told me you were somewhere else." Not a good idea. Really, tips are just to ask them when you're opening up the conversation, is there anything they want to talk about? Is there anything they need to know? And just drop in a conversation about somebody else you heard. "Oh, I heard somebody else talk about that at work or school, and I'm not sure how I feel about that." So you can remove it from their own personal situation.
It's important not to embarrass them in front of anyone. Make sure it's just like a one-to-one and be honest and just say, "Look, I know this, I know that. Do you know the consequences? Do you feel right? Is this the right person?"
Be open to your child potentially knowing more than you. And before giving advice, look online.
Yeah, it might be a bit funny and a bit awkward at times, but it'll get easier and it's for their good. It's worth doing. Don't just let them find out by themselves, because it might be the wrong information.
There's loads of really good film clips and things. All you need to do is tag them in it, and you don't have to have a conversation. It's a really good way of certainly planting seeds that you can either talk about later or just so they know that you're thinking about these things.
I think respectyourself.info is a mighty good website, or actually making it the homepage on the family computer.
You can send information to them in a text. Just say, "Oh, just seen this, thought you might be interested." Now, whether they are or not at that time may not be the right thing for them, but they'll see it. And if you or your friends might find this useful, that kind of thing, that sometimes works.
Always try and have an open communication. You know, if you're watching EastEnders and Mick and Linda are having a fight and you want to talk about an unhealthy relationship or a healthy relationship, use those opportunities that come up in your family.
There's going to be things that your child can teach you that you've never heard of. Have a laugh together at finding out what those words mean, or, it should be something giggly and fun. I don't think you have to have the right answers all the time.
Don't make it awkward. Just don't make it awkward.